This Week in Startups is brought to you by Hello Monday, a new podcast from LinkedIn's editorial team. Host Jesse Hempel sits down with featured guests to investigate the role work plays in our lives and how to make it work for us. Find Hello Monday on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. DigitalOcean, providing the easiest cloud platform to deploy, manage, and scale applications. Sign up today and receive a free $100 credit at do.co/twist. And Pendo, a product cloud that helps digital product teams understand and guide their users, enabling them to build software experiences customers love. Visit pendo.io/twist for 2 months of Pendo free.
Okay, we're going to do a very simple, how long are we giving everybody? 2-minute pitch. And we're going to have 3 people go back to back. We're going to do them in cohorts of 3. Did we do that last time? Maybe? Did you? Yeah. Okay. And then Jenny and I, Jenny's from Freestyle Capital. She's invested in a lot of great companies, and she's taking 2 hours out of her day to do this, so we really appreciate that. By agreeing to come up and present your company, you're agreeing also to take the red pill, which means we're going to be extremely candid with you about what we think your chances are of raising money, succeeding, what the reasons are people might give you a no. So this is a safe space. Hashtag trigger warning, safe space, whatever. The millennials, if any of you are in that group of snowflakes, you're all very unique snowflakes. Okay? Perfect snowflakes in a blizzard. Okay, there's nobody like you, but there's billions of other snowflakes. Just be aware of that. Okay, first up is...
Hey everyone, I'm Sitora Takaneav, and I'm a co-founder and CEO of Oncata. Oncata is a two-sided marketplace that connects real people in the community with brands for video and photo casting, any advertising casting. There is a huge demand for people that just look normal right now in the advertising. And influencers and celebrities are covering just a small portion of that market. And it's actually really expensive for a lot of brands and smaller projects. So example, United Way is looking for a transgender teen in Wisconsin. This is where I'm from. This is the process right now. It's extremely complicated and takes a long time and money. The United Way is actually our client, and this is a real example. We've been casting for them already, and they last minute asked for a transgender teen. So we put out a casting call and found this kid in Tennessee, and he got casted in United Way commercial. So it cost us $300, well, our client, $300 and 24 hours for us to find that kid. I've been doing that in Milwaukee and casting my friends and family since 2014. We had some fun, made some money. We have 4,700 people right now, 85 clients, some awesome ones like Harley Davidson. I love them. We have 35,000 in monthly revenue. Also created a great gig economy platform in our market. This family made $11,000 just working like 5 days a year. So that was pretty cool. This is my platform. Up until now, I have an MVP already. So I've developed that, a very small first step. This is my vision for it. I want to scale my business and create an industry platform that will be a nationwide resource with consistency in process and rates and security in hiring. It's very important. It's a big market, 2.1 billion, and it's growing with next generation need for even more authentic content. So this is our service model, revenue model right now. We want to transition, expand nationwide. We have an awesome team. I have an advertising and tech co-founder, and so this is our
Well
people.
done. Let's give her a round of applause.
Sorry.
Next up, Scott. 3, 2, go.
Scott Catron, co-CEO of Social Detection. We're an anti-fraud technology platform that detects risk. How many people here have seen or know somebody that's been involved in an insurance claim, whether it be your own personal auto accident? Hopefully everybody's hands raised. Keep them up if you are detecting or you are doing the insurance fraud yourself. All right? I'm watching you. All right. We have the market size. It's those people cost the United States $80 to $100 billion a year. We're focusing on the property and casualty, which is around $56 billion. Here's our platform that we built to detect the insurance fraud. You can see we're using a common name. And we can just go through. As you can see here, you can enter up to 50 different parameters. And here are the results that come back. Publicly available data, profiles, pictures. Let's open up this puppy a little bit. So we have these images that come back. Facial recognition. We have some. These are programs. These are software. Maybe some previous Facebook profiles. And what's happening here is this is how it works. We find, filter, and organize. This data point on the end here, the report is the goal. Our clients are currently doing investigations on their own. So when the claimant files a claim, they sign a waiver that they will be investigated by insurance professionals. They will then Google, you go to Facebook, and eventually pay out the fraudulent claim, hence the $120 billion problem in the United States. Our TAM is around $10 billion. Serviceable obtainable market is around $100 million per year. That's insurance companies, law firms, 40,000 subscribers. Here's our pilot we landed last year, 1,500 customers based off of one insurance company. And our team is based out of Philadelphia.
Okay. Ooh, nicely done. Big round of applause. Tell me your name again. I didn't actually hear it.
Scott Catron.
Scott. Okay, great. Well done. Okay, next up, Pooran. Okay, 3, 2, go.
Hi, my name is Pooran. I'm from WhatElse, a business productivity solution. Most of the times when you get an unknown call, you will end up saying, hey, this is not my call, and they'll just usually drop off. Or if you pick a call, you'll ask, may I know who's this? With WhatElse, you don't have to guess. We'll tell you who this guy is from all the systems that you use. You'll be able to say, hello, Charles, how are you doing? And in the next couple of seconds, you'll be able to see all the information from all the systems that you use. We show you all the notes, your own personal notes, your own research about this person, mails, attachments extracted from those mails, data from CRM, ERP, whichever software you're using. And once the call is over, we automatically log the call to your CRM, and we also remind you to do post-call actions like sending an email or WhatsApp or anything else. We currently integrate with all the softwares like email services, storage, CRM, ERP, Freshdesk, Zendesk, all your support. And this is our plan to integrate a couple of more. And any software that you use. Who's our customer? Any organization who's a customer-facing teams like sales, marketing. We give back 1 day per month per user. That's 5% more time for you to do more. And we are addressing $201 billion global enterprise mobility market. We give metrics for the business so that you can identify your star performers and train underperformers. Our secret sauce, we can integrate any application in days, and we can customize in a couple of hours. This application works on iOS, Android, and web. We are European GDPR compliant. We speak multiple languages, and we have one patent that is granted, and we have 2 more patents on ML and AI. So far, we raised $100,000 from BMC founder, or like Stanford, Salesforce. India director has invested in us, and we have $40,000 from Startup Chile. We invoiced so far $15,000, and we have a projected $200,000 by end of this year. Our business model, $9.99 per month, and we have a white label solution that goes for $20,000. This is our team, and these are our investors and mentors.
Well done.
If only I could turn back time and talk to baby Jason when he was first starting out his career. I would tell him to show up for work an hour early. I was always late. I'd tell him to be more ambitious. God, there's so many things I would tell myself. Be a better manager. Listen to people. Don't be such a maniac. But you can't turn back time. But I can listen to LinkedIn's new amazing podcast. It's called Hello Monday. And this is from LinkedIn's amazing editorial team. And every week, host Jesse Hempel sits down with a featured guest to investigate the role work plays in our lives and how to make work work for us. Whether you're just starting your first job or you're gearing up for retirement, you'll be ready to tackle Monday and the rest of the work week with the knowledge to make work work for you. And in the first episode, Jesse talks to Seth Meyers, yes, of late night and SNL fame, Saturday Night Live, that is, about nurturing talent and managing people. And he's done a great job of that with his shows. And how to keep people motivated. They really get into that. How to make people stick around for the long term, something I've specialized in. And how to let them know it's time for them to go on and find their own thing. Like, listen, that's SNL, right? They're all those people. It's a platform. You go on to movies or stand-up or your own TV show like he did. And also he talks about starting something new and figuring out what works in the world. So here's your call to action. It's really simple. I want you to go onto Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. There's so many great podcasting apps out there. And I just want you to do a search for Hello Monday. Hello Monday. Hello Monday. Do a search for Hello Monday and give it a shot. It's an incredible podcast. I really enjoyed the first episode. Great job to the team over there. Okay, speaking of great episodes, let's get back to this one. I'm going to give you some candid feedback. Jenny, why don't you go first?
So I'm going to start with just saying that I loved it. And the reason I loved it, one, I think it's a great idea. And two, I thought you just kind of covered everything that would make me want to learn more, which once again, remember, the goal of meeting number one is to get meeting number two. I love that you tapped into the gig economy. I love that you talked into a macro trend of how people are looking for fresh faces and different kinds of people in their ads. I do think you had an opportunity to start with the size of the market, which is bigger, right? How much people actually pay for models and casting. So start with this really big market and how the market is shifting to the gig and fresh economy versus sort of just come at it from it's 2 billion, but growing to 8. It's sort of Jason's point where you start with the bigger and then show where you're starting.
So show the bigger number first.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha, yeah.
That's my feedback.
Yeah, I also loved it. You're part of a new trend that we've been seeing, which is the no developer startup.
Yeah. Which
is you take Typeform or SurveyMonkey, a Stripe account, Slack, Zapier, or
Airtable.
If This and That. Airtable's amazing.
That's me. I patched everything together.
And you just all of a sudden have like a startup. In fact, Ashley rebuilt Angel List with Jason Syndicate from like 5 or 6 things off the shelf. And we were up and running like, I don't know, in a week. And I was like, oh, okay, we don't need to have 7 developers. And it worked exactly the same, basically. It actually worked better. So I really love this new category. You are a bootstrapped founder that's clear, and you have an MVP coming. This is like when we love to meet founders. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like our job compared to Jenny's, I think, is we're kind of like this little tiny record label that finds somebody. Somebody's got to take a chance on that person and like kind of get them a little bit more polished. And we just had this happen with a company called Steezy. We found them down in Los Angeles. We refined the pitch a little bit. We cleaned up the data. We told them what Silicon Valley would expect. And then Freestyle and Jenny and her team invested $1.5 million, I think. And we invested $1.5 million. And all of a sudden they went from being nobodies to being a venture-funded startup. Awesome. And I think you have that same potential. I think that MVP needs to get built, of course.
I have it built. It's just I have one option, one feature that I built already for manual process. I automated it. So it saves me like 3 hours on average.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, if you can make this work with duct tape and chewing gum and off-the-shelf software, God forbid you had 2 developers and a sales team, you would be like changing the world. So we love this kind of like raw talent. It's kind of what Founder.University is all about. So well done. I don't have any comments other than like, I think like I got kind of like an Uber-like tingle when I heard you talking, which was kind of like, ooh, it's slow. It sucks. Casting is inefficient and expensive. And everybody's kind of doesn't use it because it's horrible. And if there was just a way to like press a button, like I need a 17-year-old transgender person who matches this demographic, or I need a 25-year-old, whatever, single male bruh from San Francisco who's going to bruh it out in Marina. I'm assuming you can get me like a Marina bruh.
Yeah.
It's going to be an incredible campaign. All right, Sitora, Oncata. What does it mean?
On-call talent. I was looking for a domain name that wasn't taken. Right,
I thought Oncata was like some,
dance. Someone said.
No. I was actually thinking this is like a Hawaiian or Polynesian kind of like word that means something, and I'm like Oncata.
Yeah.
I'm trying to break it down.
And I just saw a pitch that was making it easier for people to book talent, but still working through all the agencies. So it sort of consolidated all the agencies, and they still got their cut. And I actually just saw it a week or two ago, and I was thinking, why are you still working with the agencies at this point?
So exactly.
I was
sort of very prepared for what you just shared.
This is going to disrupt the industry. I'm sure of it. Yeah.
Let's give Sitora a big round of applause. Next up is Scott. All right, Scott. You're weaponizing social media to catch people who are committing insurance fraud. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I explained your business in a sentence. You took 2 minutes. It was completely confounding.
Yes.
So you did a terrible job presenting, but I'm fascinated by the business, and there's some report that comes out of this that insurance companies like. I'll give you just one really important piece of advice. Examples matter. So one of the things we work on in the Launch Accelerator, which Founder.University is a complete front for. Okay, this is like a front. We're out there like, oh, we're going to help everybody learn how to be better founders. It's like, no. We're going to find the 5 people in this room that we can give $100,000 to start working with Jason DeMont in 6 weeks in the incubator. Okay, accelerator. That's it. We're not here to help you. I'm joking. That's exactly why we're here. So anyway, one of the things we work on is examples matter. So to the previous one, Oncata was like, this person was looking for a transgender individual who was 16 years old, and we found them in 24 hours. And it was like, okay. We totally get that. Like, that's probably a hard person to cast, and they did it immediately. So just like, there's no question of how this works. In yours, there was no example. So it should have been like, this person is collecting disability, and here are pictures of them on their Instagram under a pseudonym, deadlifting 300 pounds. This person collected $17,000 in disability last month or last quarter. Now they're no longer getting disability because this dipshit is so stupid that he didn't think that his email was tied to this other person and whatever. And like literally, you see this on like the local news all the time. Somebody on the local news like finds somebody in a gym who's on disability, like deadlifting 300 pounds. So, and then because you were kind of rambling through this whole thing and the design was terrible, I think this is also a tell. So there's 2 things you really need to fix. One, the design has to be world-class. Okay. You did this design yourself, yes?
Our team, we have a couple graphic designers we need to
get fire them.
That's what I said, we need to get
immediately. Sorry if they're watching. They're terrible. And just literally go on Behance or Dribbble, find the most gorgeous presentation, and join us in 2019 of having beautiful design in Silicon Valley. It's a super tell if the design is janky. Okay. To me, and I work with my founders all the time, like, have great examples, have great design. If you don't, someone like Jenny's going to look at it and say, Jason, what the fuck? Why are you sending me this person? Yeah. Go.
So I agree with everything Jason just said. I didn't even understand your business as well until I just heard him say what he shared. Jason and I can disagree on this point. I think a product demo you only use when it wows the hell out of your audience. So you were showing features, but to Jason's point, without the example, if you'd walked us through the example while showing your product off, that's great. But don't ever put your product demo feature walkthrough ahead of actually letting the lights go on in our head as to what it does and why it's so big.
Okay. Yeah, another way to present it might be meet Jenny. Jenny works at Allied Insurance, and she has to review 40 claims a day. Yeah. She has a feeling that some of these claims are fraudulent, but she doesn't know which ones are. So she ships us 40 email addresses, and we ship her back 40 reports. In one of the reports, it says this person's got disability, and they can't work anymore as a construction worker. And she sees immediately on Instagram that they're deadlifting 300 pounds. She then hands it to the compliance office, which is going to go investigate this. Boom. Like, I did that in 15 seconds off the top of my head. Like, your job is to like convince us in a much stronger way. But there's definitely a business here, and then we would have to decide how scalable is it, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So this is really important for everybody in the room. We have to understand it. So examples matter. If a founder can't come up with a world-class, super compelling, and super memorable, illustrative example of their product, that means there is no use for that product.
And just to layer on, the value prop has to be like game changer. So I saw save 8 minutes, and 8 minutes of someone clerical didn't excite me. So is that it? Or are you finding stuff that no one else could find? So just remember, it's who you're serving, what's the value proposition, and how big is that market? Because that's the combination that lets us believe.
All right. Well done. Let's give a big round of applause.
Appreciate
Great job, Scott. Pooran from WhatElse. Jenny, you go first.
Okay, so first of all, I recommend you not starting with business productivity, because in the VC world, we hear business productivity and we're scared because it's so noisy. So I would just get rid of that. I was left, you started with, you later brought in who it's for, but you didn't say up front. So back to Jason's point, you're telling a story. We're trying to actually visualize it without showing who it's for. I saw what it did, but I'm thinking, is this for consumers? Do I care when someone's calling me that I need all this stuff? Once I understood who it was for, I could have really appreciated how you walk through your demo. The other thing is that you were rushed. And so I get that 2 minutes is hard, right? And you're like, how do I fit it all in? You're better off saying fewer things and really taking the points home than flying through a ton of stuff. Also, you want to think about preemptive questions. Like if you know they're going to be thinking, aren't there a million of these? You want to say, well, there are lots of these. None of them do X, Y, Z. So I call it a preemptive strike. Know what your audience likely has a bias against and hit it on the offense. Your traction almost looked good, but you had to fly through, so I didn't get to see it. So I actually like the space. I looked at something in this space a couple of years ago. So I just was left wondering, knowing, is it different than everything else that's out there? I don't know, and I missed your traction slide because you were rushed.
So this is no, don't answer.
Sure.
This is a really illustrative and important point. If you compare this to Eric from Loomis.ai, which is a pretty terrible name because it has nothing to do with tickets. Eric, we gave you a lot of positive. Well, no, Eric is I think Eric's a pretty generic name. I would have gone with something a little more memorable. But Loomis.ai is just like, you have nothing to do with AI, and it just makes it look. Anyway, we'll talk about rebranding later. But anyway, in yours, you're like, I just want you to remember two things. One, we help people sell tickets. Two, I don't remember the second point. But you did say, like, I want you to remember two things. In your pitch, all that matters is we help salespeople close more sales. And the way we do this is by giving them rich data so that they can make a more personalized sales. Let me show you how it works.
Yeah, got it.
Boom. And it's like, here is Jenny. Jenny and Jason both work in sales. Jason sees a number coming in, and he knows nothing about the person. He answers it, and the person says, hi, I'm Larry Sweeney. And he says, oh, nice to meet you. How can I help you? He says, oh, I met you last month. And now he has to start off with not remembering the client he talked to last month. Here's Jenny. Jenny sees that Larry Sweeney is calling, and that Larry is on Instagram, has 3 kids, they're connected on LinkedIn, and he works at Acme Corporation. She says, hey, Lenny, how's everything going at Acme Corporation? I see, I followed up with you last month. Has something changed? And Lenny says, yes, I've changed jobs. My new boss is in a Square, and he wants to use the software that you sold me. Can we get going on it? And she closes the sale. Boom. What founders do is they want to get all the credit in the world for everything they've built. That's not your job here. You're racing through every feature of the product. And you're a product guy, obviously, and you got a great roadmap, and your team's superpower is building products. I know that because I'm watching you going, oh, I know this type of founder. They're like, and we can add any integration at any time instantly because I have more developers than anybody, and I've been working with these developers since 1978, and we are, and it's like, okay, I get it. You can add and you showed us like 1,000 logos, and it's like, great. What about the business? What about the problem you're solving, right? So too much emphasis on the manual and how many features you have, not enough on just why this solves a really important problem that makes money or delight in the world. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. Great. Here endeth the lesson. Let's give a big round of applause for Pooran. All right. I think we both are going to pick the same company here. I'm going to take a guess.
1, 2, 3.
Oncata. Oncata, which is the Hawaiian word for finding beauty. Just tell people that. Just tell people it's the Hawaiian word for finding beauty. If you're a startup and you're just getting started, or you're a bigger startup and you're scaling, it's time for you to use the easiest cloud platform out there to deploy, manage, and scale applications. And it's one that removes all the infrastructure friction from your life. 150,000 businesses, including the world's fastest startups, are using this specific service. And that service is DigitalOcean, of course. And I'm going to give you $100 from DigitalOcean right now. Go to do.co/twist. That's right, $100 credit. I had Mitch Weiner called into This Week in Startups back in 2010. That's 9 years ago. And he was working in marketing. He's like, hey, J-Cal, what should I do with my life? I was like, you should go to like Techstars or Y Combinator or one of these places and find the hottest startup and join them and get that sweet, sweet equity. You know what? He joined DigitalOcean, came back on the podcast in 2014 after they raised $37 million from Andreessen Horowitz, one of the top firms in the Silicon Valley. They have straightforward billing. It's flat pricing. You're never going to get a surprise. You always know what you're going to pay, and that's super important. And here's a customer testimonial from Content Ignite. Since moving to DigitalOcean, our startup is ultimately more capable than what we had before the migration. Downtime has become a rarity, and our hosting costs have decreased by more than 90%. What? That's right, a 90% decrease in those hosting costs. And when you save that money, I encourage you, whenever you save money, this is what I do. If we save like $500 on something a month, people are like, we're saving 500 or even 100. Times it by 40 months, because that's probably how long you're going to keep these things. So if you're saving $100 a month times 40 months, this can add up quickly. Or if it's $500 or 1,000, we're talking about serious cash back in your pocket. Okay, do.co/twist. Get that $100 credit, and thanks again to DigitalOcean for supporting independent media like This Week in Startups. Let's get back to this amazing episode. Okay, let's do 3 more. 3, 2, go.
Hello, everyone. We are Acquity AI, and our mission is to identify purchasable products from every video on the internet and make them directly shoppable. So why video? Video is a huge industry. It's a $15 billion industry, and brands are spending up to about $10 million a year on creating either direct video or influencer-created video, and the views on these are in the billions. But the biggest problem with video is that it doesn't generate direct revenue. That's an example of a video which had 99 million views and generated 0 direct revenue. And that's a loss of about $1 million for just one brand with one video. And there are about 2,000 of these videos created every month. And our product helps brands and influencers attach a way to go from videos directly to the product. So viewers watching these videos either on an Instagram campaign or on their website or on social media can directly click on the product tray at the bottom of the video and go buy that product. And our dashboard helps multiple agencies and multiple departments within a brand align and drive revenue back into the e-commerce department. And the whole process is completely automated and it's AI-based, so it doesn't allow or it doesn't need the brand or the marketing department any extra time or any extra effort to make their videos directly shoppable. And this has been an easy story to go and tell to the brands. We have 2 beta customers already, and we have a great use case from Converse where we improved ROI by 2.5 times, improved revenue 5x, and ad recall by 22% with one of our shoppable video campaigns. And we are on to creating more campaigns with some large French fashion houses and Whirlpool, for example. We have a great team. We have expertise both in AI and video within the team, and we are looking forward to building out this product more.
Okay, well done. Big round of applause. Next up, Philip.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
3, 2, go.
Did you know that 70% of business travel is still managed by phone and email? This is a complex process, so it's much easier to rely on travel agent when you need to meet your corporate travel policy. As a business traveler, you want one place to log in for all your travel needs. Get in seconds best flights, trains, buses, hotels, apartments, all within the budget, so you can automate third-party approvals, reports, and expenses. And your CFO sees narrative data, so he's ready for audit 24/7. Well, this is actually Hotailors. Our clients save 30% of the cash and 90% of the time needed to plan, book, and expense a business trip. Actually, they can do it in 5 minutes. Getting access to 700 airlines with a layover guarantee, 1 click away from agent, and all wrapped up into single invoice for the company. The serviceable addressable market, the extended workforces, is $260 billion. And there is no dedicated solution. For the last year, we've been focused on this space. Actually, 12 months ago, Google asked us to cover the travel services for Google Developer Expert Network. And Hotailors for 12 years been learning from those experts, getting their patterns, studying their patterns, and getting instant feedback. So traction, 1.5 million in sales, year-over-year growth 460%. In the pipeline, Vodafone, Credit Suisse, just raised 2 million from angels. Yeah, I'm fucking excited. Thank you very much.
Okay, well done. Next up is Laura from Brightly. 3, 2, go.
Okay. Hi, I'm Laura. I'm from Brightly, and we are the Goop of ethical and sustainable living. Okay, so unless you've been hiding under a rock, it's hard to deny that minimalism and ethical consumerism aren't having a moment, right? Everybody's talking about Marie Kondoing, sparking joy, and people are getting rid of plastic straws left and right. So millennials really want change, and they want to be part of something bigger. It's also, this year is totally the year of ethical shopping. We have a bunch of profitable and well-funded, sustainable-minded D2C companies. We also have bigger brands like Target and Patagonia utilizing their supply chain and marketing dollars for advocacy. There's totally money on the table if you're not doing things ethically and sustainably. So millennials have a combined purchasing power of $600 billion, and 3/4 of them are willing to pay more for ethically made products. Content and community-driven commerce is growing, with Goop valued at over $250 million, and that's at a niche market. So Brightly combines content, community, and commerce to really ignite change. We feature thousands of sustainable fashion products, home goods, and clean beauty from lots of brands, and then we also push lifestyle content to eco-conscious consumers. Our tribe is loving us. We get DMs on Instagram all the time from people asking how they can help us. I don't think I would ask a brand how I can help. So our present and future revenue strategy, right now we are a marketplace, inventory free. We take a 15% commission per sale. In the future, we will white label products, also inventory free, and do things like sponsored content and brand partnerships. Our key metrics and traction, we launched on Black Friday last year. We have a $71 average order value, GMV right now of $5K. We have over 2,000 products listed on our marketplace, huge brand wait list. I'm uniquely qualified to build this business. I cut my teeth at Amazon and fashion marketplaces, social impact at Google. Our team's awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay, well done. Ravi from Acquity. Okay. So I've been pitched this idea literally 100 times. We're going to use AI to make you click on YouTube videos. YouTube removed annotations. They don't allow you to do this. Instagram makes it very hard to do this kind of stuff. There was a website called The Take that would do it just for movies and TV shows. And the affiliate revenue that comes from doing this is pretty de minimis. And there were very few details in here of how this is going to become a huge business. So I'm a little bit cynical about it. I think that's one thing, and I'm not a cynical person, but things that are driven by affiliate revenue for the person making the video, there just might not be a lot of money there. And I know the platforms have aggregated all the videos and they're blockers in this. And so I think being super aware of the fact that this has been tried 100 times, everybody's money's been burned and gone away, and that there's just a bunch of DNA in the industry that click to shop video stuff doesn't work. You have to come into the presentation knowing that those are going to be the objections. And the reason I bring this up is one of the things we work on the Launch Accelerator is when Jenny comes and gives her feedback, or her partner Dave Samuels comes and gives his feedback, we record all that feedback, and then you do it for 12 weeks. We record it on video. If you get those objections, the next week we'll iterate on the presentation with you to kind of answer them or do that. So I consider this like week 0 of the accelerator. That would be the first thing I would want to change in this is, okay, what's new here? What's novel? And I didn't get that. So I'm kind of like very lukewarm on the business itself. Jenny, what's your feedback?
Yeah, so I unfortunately ditto that. I have a lot of skepticism for all the same reasons that Jason stated. And it's like all the pieces made sense, but in the whole, I couldn't really figure out the Natalie Portman video, the likelihood that it has the clickable Adidas shoes, unless Adidas made it. So it just wasn't adding up for me, and all the skepticism. And Jason's point, by the way, was the same point I was trying to make last round, which is what I called the preemptive strike. If you know what your audience, the biases we probably have, like tons of dead bodies on the side of the road in this space, you have to come in on the offense with, while you probably know there are so many companies who have tried to do this, what they've done wrong is XYZ, and that's why we are doing exactly that, you know, and solving for that. I will tell you on an aside is that as a consumer of one, when I shop on Instagram, I see lots of fun stuff and I want to buy it, but then I have to go through everyone's checkout process on their own. I do think there's an opportunity to take something that is already working, but still has friction, and maybe find a way to make it a one click, right? So I would buy a shit ton of stuff on Instagram if I could just press a button and it was gone and it was on my credit card. So there may be opportunities, but you haven't kind of shown that you've studied the market, and this is where the friction is, and that's what you've unlocked.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and whenever you put numbers up or a claim, like this video would have made $1 million in sales off of 100 million views, I'm like, okay, maybe. And I start backing into, is that actually true? And so examples matter. So Jenny did remember, oh yeah, Natalie Portman video. I did remember 100 million views, $1 million. So we did remember, which is good, but you got to make sure that video and that example actually plays out all the way. So in this video, Natalie Portman wears this iconic summer dress. This summer dress is only available from one person, this person, but then it was copied by, inspired these other forward fashion, non-Gucci, $18,000 dresses, and you can get it for $180. We put that alternative, you might also like this. And what's a value brand for women's clothes that's cheaper, that's fashion forward?
Forever 21.
Yeah. And so here's the Forever 21 version of the Gucci dress. Boom. And I would have been like, oh, okay, great. So it's not just identifying it's a Gucci, it's showing there's a Forever 21 version and a version and a version and a version like this. So it was interesting. We'd want to drill more. Let's give a big round of applause to Ravi. Do you build or manage a SaaS product, software as a service? Well, Pendo is built for product managers and customer success teams to understand and guide their users. It's very simple. You install one line of code, just one little zip, zip, zip into your app or into your website, and it auto collects every user action and it rolls them into a rich, elegant set of analytics. Why is this important? Well, if you collect all this feedback, you can understand what your customers are doing and what they're not doing in your app and where to focus your resources. And you can find out where they're frustrated and what's making them bounce and leave your product, maybe give you a bad review even. Or you can find out, hey, what's delightful and where do they spend their time and how to double down on that feature. And you can do this really easy with Pendo. 850 plus software organizations from Marketo to Instant Cart, which I love, OpenTable, which I love, Zendesk, which I love. They're all using it, including two of my portfolio companies, at least. Actually, three I can now. 15Five, Lead Genius, and Sprinkler all are using Pendo. It's great for onboarding users and converting trials to paid plans with walkthroughs, tool tips, and other in-app communications. That's how Sprinkler uses it. And it's great to guide legacy customers to adapt new digital platforms, reducing support tickets and improving your Net Promoter Score, NPS. And the best part, no engineering resources are needed to do this. Investment in Pendo has paid off for Sprinkler in just 3 to 6 months. So visit pendo.io/twist, pendo.io/twist, and you'll get 2 months, not one, 2 of Pendo free. What a deal. Thanks to the team at pendo.io/twist for doing that. Also, Pendo's product craft community is producing a great event for product teams May 9th at the Palace of Fine Arts. Learn more and snag a discount code at pendo.io/twist. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode. Philip, you're next. Where's Philip? Okay, hand him the microphone. Yeah. There you go. You go first.
So by the end, you got me because you showed all this traction, right? And you showed big brands wanting you, and it looked like there was a lot of money. The setup actually confused me confused me. And I was thinking, wow, I would love the Jason style approach to tell me there's ways that all these big companies save money, but it's hard and it's clunky and it's confusing, but all these others don't have access to those same benefits or something. But the lack of example, the way that Jason has described telling a story, left me still kind of scratching my head. So what are people doing without you? Are you going to serve the same market with a better product? Are you serving a market that hasn't had these tools that all the big corporations have access to? So I love the traction, but I didn't actually kind of get it.
I want to hear the answer to that question. Yeah, answer that question.
Well, actually, we focus on these extended workforces, and there is no
extended workforces.
Extended workforces.
What does that mean?
Contractors, dedicated teams, recruitment, all the people who are not on your payroll, but you want to cover their travel needs.
Okay, so
that's 44%.
I'm doing a developer conference. I need to bring 100 developers out, but they're not my employees. So we have an internal employee system, but this is for external. So that would be the market.
Yeah.
So that would have helped me to understand. I just didn't, once again, I didn't have the context. So when Jason talks about giving the examples and walking someone through, the reason it does that is it lets our heads grasp it to then appreciate all the traction and numbers that you share.
Yeah, because when you mentioned you have Google as a client, I was like, wait a second. Google has some group of nerds who've built their own software solution. They built Google Flights and Google Hotel. They're not using your, what they would consider subpar to their software solution. And then it was like, it's for developer. Oh, wait. It's for developers who are coming to their conference. They don't want them on their internal system. You got the developer business. Googlers are not booking their travel with this. The people who use Google software are. The developers,
we have about 200 Google people with google.com emails. So they travel with us as well.
Okay.
And 60% of the users comes from here, from the US market. And actually the biggest destination for us is San Francisco.
Great. Okay. Didn't ask those questions, but fine. This is the life of like an investor. You ask one question, you get like 17 other facts. That's cool. So I too was not believing in your business because I didn't think the software looked very good. The design wasn't appealing and it was a little bit confusing, and I wasn't buying what you were selling because I was like, well, I'm a senior executive. I book my own flight on Southwest sometimes. I open the app. It takes me 10 seconds or whatever, a minute. And I open a hotel tonight. I book my own hotel an hour before I show up at the hotel and when I'm in LA, and I book my Ubers, and it's super easy breezy. The only thing that's ever complicated for me is if I'm going to like Hong Kong or something. So I was like not buying it, but then I saw you made $280,000 on $1.5 million in sales, and that was confusing to me as well because that means fantastic. You took 15% or so of that 1.5 million, but then I was thinking for the people who are spending that 1.5 million, well, that sucks for them that they had to pay a 15 or 20% VIG on it.
Or I was thinking the opposite, like where's that coming from? And assuming it wasn't coming from the consumer.
No, it's coming from aggregation of over 70 suppliers of hotels like Amadeus, Expedia, and actually only one of them has the best price. And in B2B, the difference between the price can be like 25 to 30% between Amadeus and Expedia, for example.
Got it. So you're making your margin on the hotel.
Yes, on the marketplace.
So you charge Google's developer conference to use your software, or no? It's free?
Yes, of course. €5 per active user per month. That's a SaaS model.
€5 per active user, so it's $100 a year
per person.
Per person. Mm-hmm. But if they are doing a one-time conference for 100, it would seem like this is for like a conference this year, and then I don't use it for 11 months, and maybe I invite some of those same people back for the conference next year.
Actually,
is that per seat pricing for the people who are using the travel or the people who are managing the travel?
This is the pricing for people who are managing the travel because they want to have the statistics in a good order. They want to see all the projects, how they're running, how they're performing.
So of your money, of your 280 in revenue, what percentage is that SaaS revenue, the software service revenue, versus the commission?
15% is just the SaaS.
Got it. Okay. So I'm starting to like your business, right? And so this is,
thank you.
To Jenny's point of like, what's your goal in the 2 minutes? Is to kind of get the investor on the hook with some data or some revenue or something. This went from a business that I didn't buy to like, okay, maybe there's a need here, and then maybe this person is smart. So you built your credibility up during this back and forth. Let's hear it for Filip and Hotailors.
Thank you.
Okay, Laura, you're up next. Jenny, why don't you start us off?
Okay, so my biggest feedback is it's really important that when I hear a pitch that I get the need to exist in the world. And as an investor, I often like to think, okay, even if it's not you and your team, it's going to be someone else. Like this has to exist. And I just couldn't quite get that from your pitch. So I bought in, I love Marie Kondo. I buy into everything that you sort of were serving. But I didn't understand what the need was in the marketplace. Is it that consumers don't know where to go to find this stuff? Is it, so I just didn't get the why you, why now part of it. And then the other thing is that to mention that Goop is worth 200 million or 250 million, when you guys are giving a comp, you want a much bigger comp because Goop's been around for a real long time. It has Gwyneth Paltrow and it's 250 million. That doesn't make me jump up and down. The billions make me jump up and down. Or a company like Glossier in a few years is worth, you know, $1 billion plus makes me a little bit more excited. So I guess my first question is, why do you need to exist? Why do your consumers need you?
Absolutely. I mean, it was really born out of the need to want to centralize all these Instagram brands like you were talking about. So I wanted to shop ethically myself. I started hunting and pecking on Instagram, finally found a few people I liked. And then I was like, how on earth am I going to find the rest of these companies who are making a difference? So the marketplace model started that way. And then, like I said, we started to get more and more feedback from our community that they wanted to be part of something bigger rather than just having to come back and shop with us. So we really want to create a movement around what we're doing.
And then the only feedback I have on the actual business is that it's really hard to be the one who acquires the customer, but then gets a small sliver through the marketplace. And so it's just something like maybe you have some kind of content solution or a community solution, but something that brings your CAC down. Because for the most part, when you do the CAC, the cost to acquire a customer versus the lifetime value of a customer, when you're getting 15% or whatever you probably are getting, it's hard to make the numbers work.
Okay.
Yeah, I wrote here Goop valuation, and we are like Goop. Be very careful of creating a comp for yourself. As Jenny pointed out, you basically signal this is a small business, right? And maybe not worth investing in. So it'd be like me being like, I have the greatest social network like MySpace. We are going to, and it was like, oh, what? Like that went down in a burning fire, fire pit. Most people in Silicon Valley consider Goop a goof. Like they think, oh, this is pseudoscience. She's wacky. She's telling people to do all kinds of weird stuff that is really probably might even be dangerous. So you might be pitching VCs who, whether they're right or wrong, have in their mind, yeah, I've read some stories about her telling people to do X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to say what these specific things are, but my wife and I had these talks, and I saw her speak recently. And I was like, wow, she might actually be dangerous, like telling people to do these things.
We get over that if there's big B's.
Yeah, right. So
$1 billion makes us get over those
Well,
things.
then I think Honest Company would be the much better one if you wanted to go with a Hollywood-based, celebrity-based brand. And it's like, they are an e-commerce company. They're making product. I think they sell product. And they're trying to be Amazon plus their own home brands, like brandless kind of situation. Or brandless might be another one that would be a better one to use. And I, too, was like, what's the point of this? Is it a blog? And I thought, like, you got to be careful with weak data points in this town. Like, oh, we get a lot of DMs. It's like, well, this isn't, people sliding into your DM is not what we're optimizing here in Silicon Valley for. We're optimizing for the margin of your business, the repeatability for it being essential to your customers, and a bunch of other things, which maybe towards the end, I thought, like the last couple of slides, I was like, oh, wait, there is a heartbeat here. We have life. Like, oh, it's 5,000 in GMV and you're getting 15%. Okay, that's barely life, but there's something, right? Maybe this could, the heartbeat could get stronger. And I think if you presented it as, people want to do the right thing and they want to consume products that are good for the world and that are sustainable and that are fair trade. And we hunt and peck to find them. I know because I'm this consumer. So what we decided to do was aggregate all the top brands and we audit them and we make sure that their claims are actually true. We rate them. And like Wirecutter, which was bought by the New York Times, we do very in-depth reviews of them. Here's our review of shoes. And we rank the shoes, and we actually tell you the 10 brands you should not do because they violate. And here's Nike, and here's the kids that they employ. Here's Martha Stewart and the kids that she employs, et cetera. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, the content serves a purpose like in Wirecutter. It drives massive revenue. You win the SEO war. Boom, boom, boom. And do you know about the Wirecutter?
Yes, I do.
I think this would be I would encourage you at your next venture pitch to parallel yourself as somewhere like the Wirecutter and Honest Company or Brandless, like, you know, and just see if you get a different reaction.
Absolutely.
Because when you came up and you're like pitching a blog that makes people feel good, people were like, oh my God, this is so awesome. You should totally do this on the weekends, you know, or like you literally defined a lifestyle business.
Sure.
Like it's going to hit 5,000 GMV. We're going to add a zero, be 50. We add another zero, it's 500. Like that'd be very hard to do. You got to have it. This is, I think, one of the big challenges with people who want to do good in the world and social good. My perception is no VCs want to do social good. I think they all want to get their next fund. Like maybe they want to do some social good, but having their fund exist is a higher order of importance.
I can tell you that is true for me. I am here to make money for my investors. I have people who invest in me, and I'm supposed to make them a great return. So first and foremost, that's my need. Then if I can feel good about it, that's such a bonus. And I also believe in the macro trend that consumers are sort of voting with their dollars. Back to the tea example, I think you have to start with a delicious tea, and then that people will feel good about drinking, right? But if you just feel good, it usually isn't sustainable.
Yeah, this is like this big... It's going to be a bigger and bigger topic because we're running into a generation of people who really do care about these issues, but they're running into the previous generations, Gen Xers, baby boomers, who are maybe a little more seasoned to reality. So I've been having this debate on Twitter. I don't know if you follow me. I'm Jason on Twitter. And like I just wrote a blog post today about this, which is people have this perception that like lifestyle business is a derogatory term. When a VC says, this is a lifestyle business, what they mean is, this is a fucking awesome lifestyle business for you. Like you could make $1 million a year from this, but I can't, or Jenny's firm can't get a $500 million or $1 billion exit from it. That doesn't mean a lifestyle business is a derogatory term. It's a term of appreciation. Like, oh my God, you've got a business that will provide, when they say lifestyle, they mean a baller lifestyle. Like you're going to be balling, like you're going to be in first class, but I'm not going to get a jet out of it because it's not going to become Uber, right? Like, do you agree with that? Like, because the people think lifestyle business is a derogatory term.
Yep. I actually think that if you can get your business cranking and producing cash without VCs, go do it. I really think it's not a derogatory term. It's excellent. And then unfortunately, there's a lot of businesses that need a lot of capital to unlock the value. So I agree with Jason heartily.
And if you do get your business to print money, the VCs are still going to be there. Yeah. And they have this thing called the Series B. So if you skip if you bootstrap, skip your seed plus, your seed plus, your Series A and your Series B, and you come to Jenny or me, and it's like, we have 15 million in revenue with 5 million in profits. And we're like, okay, can we get on this cap table? How? Like
Stella and Dot, she's my old business partner, the founder and CEO of Stella and Dot. She bootstrapped it. It was a lifestyle business. It really was for her. She had young kids or whatever, and she got it to a place where Sequoia did her first round at 400 million pre, because it was so, I mean, we drool over businesses that produce cash and don't need a lot of CapEx.
Yeah, there's this very weird like zebra movement, like anti-VC movement or this misunderstanding of these terms. And I think everybody's got to just pause for a second and say, listen, VCs would love to see you take the risk out of the business. Like Steezy, as an example, came to our incubator with $500,000 a year in revenue. By the time they met you guys, they had added 20 or 30% to that. So now you don't have to. Freestyle is de-risked them having product market fit. They don't mind paying a higher price. They don't need to pay half a valuation. They would rather pay double or triple the valuation with product market fit. Am I correct?
100% correct.
Right. So I think pulling the string on this as a lifestyle business and making the profits pour into it. So if you can keep it very small, hire only freelancers and get that 5,000 a month in GMV to 50,000, then to 250,000, you're making 15% of it. You got 30, 40K coming in a month. You're taking 15K of it. You're paying your freelancers the rest. That would be magical. And that's what happened with Wirecutter. Wirecutter, I begged Brian to give him money. Had dinner with him twice. I was like, please let me give you $1 million or $2 million. You can take $1 million of it in secondary and put $1 million into the business, whatever you want to do, because he was profitable. And then he sold for $30 million to the New York Times, and I wanted to kill myself because he owned 80 or 90% of the business. He made a crushing, and I thought that was a $3 billion business, and he should have gone long. But
So one more thing that I think is relevant to your business and probably to a lot of your businesses, as venture capitalists, we are more interested in seeing a smaller addicted user base than a larger one-time user base. So when I saw 5K, I actually didn't like it. I had a different reaction. I was like, God, that seems small. Was that from one person who kept on buying and buying, or a small group who's got addicted? That would be more interesting to me. Or did everyone come, drop $30 and never came back? So just remember, we're trying to see, did you strike a nerve in a small group and then know that you can expand that? But that's something that I think sometimes people get so focused on the top line, they don't understand that we're looking for retention.
I think unpacking that would have been great too in your presentation. Let's say now it's early days. We've only turned on monetization for 3 months. But let me tell you about our top 3 customers. Meet Jenny, Susan, and Jason. All 3 of these people care deeply. We found all 3 of them through SEO. We know that because we track our users in cohorts using Segment, whatever, Google Analytics. And these 3 users have come back to the site and gave us their email 16 times. So we've had 16 touch points with them, and they've all made 3 or more purchases. And their total spend is $1,400 each on average. So 3 customers that we just got for free through SEO are now 90% of our business. We think there's a lot more of these customers out there, and that's why we're going to invest in content, and we're going to invest in building, $1,000 blog posts, not $10 ones, but $1,000 ones that make a lot of make a lot of great content and get great SEO and get a lot of inbound links. Because hey, if we can get maybe 5, 6, 7 people to make a purchase on this level, inquire customers, by the 7th one, that $1,000 blog post pays for itself. And that's what Wirecutter did. Wirecutter was doing these crazy 3-week tests of umbrellas. And I was like, how much did that cost you to do it? Oh yeah, we paid the writer like $1,500 to do this umbrella test, where they literally put umbrellas under hoses and put a t-shirt under the hose to see which t-shirt got the most wet. You can look it up, like best umbrella. And I'm like, this is a level of obsession that is unnecessary. And they're like, yeah, and that's why you're talking about it. Right. And I was like, oh, wow. I would have done an umbrella review and spent $250. This maniac spent $1,500 on it. And it's a 3,000 word umbrella thing. But when I bought those umbrellas from Amazon and gave him the affiliate, I felt so good about these umbrellas. I was like, Jade, look at these umbrellas. She's like, yeah, okay, great, Jason. Anyway, any feedback on the feedback?
Yeah, I mean, I think, so when we originally had the idea, we got a lot of Amazon comparisons. I used to work there in fashion, and, we kept having this debate. And honestly, I think our play is that we want to have a lot of products. We want to have a great experience for our customers. We do want it to be in a curated fashion. And when I think of Amazon, I think of everything in the kitchen sink. You can't find anything even when you search for it. So that's kind of why we sort of talking more about Goop. I do think there's something there in content, community, and commerce. I think this flywheel is something that we're going to continue to see, grow in the e-commerce world. So I really do think this is $1 billion company.
So the one thing I'll say to you, and probably to some of you, is that you do have to be careful that Amazon has users like myself who prefer to purchase on Amazon. I have my Prime. I know I can return it. I have all my orders there. So there's a lot of people using content to find the umbrella to buy and then go and buy it on Amazon, and that Wirecutter or you doesn't even get their 15%. So
Wirecutter does. They have the affiliate.
Right. I'm saying sometimes the consumer clicks through.
Oh, sometimes
they go over and say, oh yeah, I'm going to buy that umbrella. And the next day they go on Amazon and search for the umbrella. So my point is, everything I've read, and I'm not a D2C expert by any measure, is that the ones that are going to beat Amazon on the Amazon game are those that are selling branded products that you cannot buy on Amazon. And once you're selling the same stuff they are, no matter how fabulous you are, you're probably not going to make it.
That's very true. Most of our brands aren't on Amazon. They're unique. And I didn't have time to get into it, but we do have a loyalty points program that keeps people in our ecosystem. Also allows them to donate their points back to various sustainable charities. So we do want to have a system in place that counters the marketplace leakage, because I totally get it.
Have you thought about inventorying these products and being like the or commissioning products.
Yes.
And being more like Honest Company or Brandless and having a bigger vision rather than just trying to live off this meager affiliate revenue.
Absolutely. Trickle. Yeah. So I talked a little bit about our inventory list white label products. So we are working directly with brands to prototype products, sell them on pre-order basis, and have a much higher markup than 15%.
A company called Mouth.com. What they found was when they commissioned their own white label products and just became Mouth.com chocolates and whiskeys, and people loved the brand. It was sort of like a precursor to Brand. Are you investors in Brandless, I think, or no? Brandless or other folks who just say, you know what, I think we just have to go for it, right?
Absolutely.
And I think if you present the business like that, a little bit bolder, I think that business might get more interest.
Okay.
And I'll just go, I have to repeat myself, is that I can't think, maybe you could educate me, of the brands, the companies that are doing really well that haven't branded their own products. So Brandless is their own brand. Glossier is their own brand.
Etsy would be an example. They don't do their own brands.
That
as
is
a marketplace.
True.
So you can either go the marketplace route, and eBay and Etsy don't, but you know that's you have the marketplace dynamic, which is takes a long time to build up. Okay, let's hear it. Was it Laura?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear it for Laura. Well done. Who is your number one in that group?
I'm going to go with Hotailors, or how do I say it?
Hotailors?
Hotailors.
I did too as well. Look at that. We're 3 for 3 picking the same thing. But it's interesting too. Like Laura drew us in the most with the questions and stuff like that.
Right.
So that means there might be something there. Okay. What's your name?
My name is Larry.
Okay, Larry. 3, 2, go.
Larry Sweeney with Handyman Heroes. And like the name says, it's home repair. It's guaranteed. This is 2019, and this is still a problem. People that are homeowners understand that it is still a major hassle to get repairs and remodeling done. There's a lot of people that have attacked different solutions on this. We are solving this problem. Our solution is very different than everyone else's. Right now, we've bootstrapped our way up to doing about $2 million a year in top-line revenue, so that's our traction. Here's what the intake looks like. Whether it's on the app, whether it's online, it's totally frictionless. You don't need to set up an account. You don't need to give us a credit card number. You just tell us what the problem is. Optionally, you can upload a couple of pictures, and then we take it from there. So what do we do? Handyman Heroes is a fully curated, fully managed, technology-enabled repair service that puts the quality of client experience above everything else. We are the Nordstroms of handyman repair. We charge more money. Our clients come back again and again and again, and they love us. Me and my partners, we have a background in the trades. I'm a contractor by trade, so I understand that our value proposition to the heroes has got to be the absolute best in the industry, and that's why we offer them paid time off, we offer them benefits, we offer them steady work, medical, we offer them a career path. Nobody else does that. So I'm going to look at our numbers here. We did bootstrap this with several forms of debt, a lot of sweat equity, and a lot of hustle. This is our balance sheet going up throughout 2018. We should hit this inflection point of profitability probably around Q3 of this year. That is Handyman Heroes. Thank you very much. Jason, thank you for putting this on.
Next up, 3, 2, go.
Hello, I'm Ozan. I'm the founder and CEO of Connected to Me. Basically, Connected to Me is a dating platform with anonymity. We realized that women prefer to stay anonymous when they are using a dating application. So we give them that option. It's actually very basic. So in the first screen, this is our main screen, we show profiles from your area. And when you select someone and send a message, you are anonymous. The system gives you a code, and the other person don't know who you are as long as you don't reveal yourself. You first chat with them. You can even talk with them. And when you trust that person, you can reveal yourself. And for monetization, we use in-app purchase and subscription. By subscribing, you can unlock features like advanced search. And we also have a feature called promotion. You can boost your profile so that you get more messages. Mostly men use that feature. We have a very good traction. We have 28 million registered users in Europe and MENA region. Our 2018 revenues are 7 million. And we estimate our 2019 revenues will be 23 million. And right now we are profitable. We have $2 million in cash. We are raising $2 million with a $50 million pre-money valuation right now. And we'll use that funding to increase our growth in the US and try to get our revenues for 2019 to $50 million. Thank you very much.
Okay, well done.
Hi, my name is Tinashe Ruzane. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Flexclub and was previously the head of vehicle solutions for Uber in Europe, Middle East, Africa. That'll become a little more relevant in a second. Flexclub is a fully managed marketplace that's transforming how gig workers like Uber drivers access vehicles that they can eventually own. On the supply side, we have fleet owners that own cars looking to monetize those vehicles. On the demand side, obviously, we have these gig workers like Uber drivers looking for rent to buy vehicles. If you think this is a niche market, it's not that small. It's not a bad place to start. Outside of the US, more than $7 billion will be spent on vehicles in 2019 by Uber drivers. The markets we currently focus on, South Africa and Mexico, there are more than $1 billion worth of vehicles that are put on there by individuals who specifically bought a car to rent out to Uber drivers. So if you're a car owner, basically give us the keys. We fully manage the vehicle for you and we guarantee your rental income for 3 years. If you're an Uber driver, this is the one way that you can actually own a car without having to go to a bank, because we personalize our rates to you using Uber data to get a unique view of your risk profile. And obviously this is a path to ownership for you. Our business model is that we charge a percentage of the weekly rental. So currently we're charging 15% for the management, but our aspirations are to move to own more in the rental stack. So basically moving from 15% to 60%, because we take a little more risk eating some of the costs in the stack. In 2018, we had $3 million worth of vehicles on our platform, $2 million in GMV, $300,000 in take. Our team has a combined 10 years of experience in the gig economy, predominantly with Uber, but we think this is a model that applies to several other gig platforms. And yeah, that's pretty much us.
Okay, well done. Wow, this is a strong cohort. Handyman Heroes, $2 million in revenue. Nordstrom's, you give benefits and PTO. You base this business on debt, so you were able to get a business loan. Explain that to me, because I thought banks no longer gave businesses loans.
Well, there's a lot of forms
unless they
of
don't
debt.
need the money, and they're like Amazon.
We brought on various investors. One of my partners mortgaged his house. We've hit payroll on credit cards from time to time. We've manipulated various forms of debt. We do have a small bank loan of about 40 grand. It's getting paid off right now. We do have a lead investor, but he doesn't have an equity position. It's just a debt.
Okay, great. That was interesting to hear about. What do you charge for a handyman?
A book rate's $95 an hour.
$95 an hour.
Correct.
And you take, you employ the handyman.
That's correct.
Full time.
That is correct.
What do they get paid full time?
We have various pay scales, but give or take about $35
an hour.
An hour, correct.
And so they're on salary. So that would be
Baked
like
in, goes to about 40 to 45.
$45,000 a year.
No, $45 an hour.
$45 an hour.
Correct.
So what do they make a year? $70,000?
They can make up to 100 because we have incentive. We have some bonuses and some other types of things.
And they want to be full time.
Generally, yes.
They want to have consistency and not have to find customers.
Generally, yes.
Got it. Okay, interesting.
That's kind of the secret sauce.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so I really liked it. You got me in the pitch when you said people pay more, they're charged more. And I think there are some people, I am one of them, who would love to pay more and actually have a reliable service. But you left me wondering, so I got the consumer prop and I even get the gig or the worker value prop, but you have to line up your supply and demand for your numbers to work out. So I would have expected your pitch to say we started in this geo. Because you can't go national right away, I would assume.
We're servicing the 9-county Bay Area right now. So we service anywhere from Napa down to San Jose, let's say. East Bay, North Bay, South Bay.
Got it. So
San Francisco.
Someone like me would be scratching her head, just curious about unit economics. But once again, you leave me interested, scratching my head and wanting to know more. I consider that a job well done. But I was left wondering, like, how many customers do you have? What's your retention? How often are they using you? What's your geo strategy? So it was a little lighter than I would have wanted, even for pitch number one. But I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, and I was thinking it's interesting as well. I think we're able to find handy
Is there a non-gender specific
People.
Handy person.
Handy person? That sounds so weird. It's just triggers like the handicapped person kind of thinking. There's no gender.
Service provider.
Service provider. Problem solver. Hacker. I don't know.
Wife.
No, no, it's the opposite. It'd be more like in our family. It'd be more like husband. Jason, fix this. I like doing handyman stuff. Anyway, putting aside the gender pronouns, whatever. But we typically find somebody on Nextdoor for $25 to $45 an hour ourselves, and then we stick with that person for 3, 4, 5 years until they disappear, which seems to be what happens every 4 or 5 years. They go into another line of work. So with yours, we just pay $95. Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
Generally. Now, if I send out a 2-man team, I'll send them out $95, $65, so the helper will go out at a cheaper rate. And so that's, and you know, we've noticed that our average job size, we have a 2-hour minimum, but our average job size is actually 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's the people, once they've kind of seen the service, they've seen how it operates, they understand the accountability, credibility, and for any challenges, escalate.
What are the top 3 categories in order that people order? Top 3 specific services in order.
Okay, so probably the top service is electrical repairs.
Got it.
Which is going to be light bulbs, outlets, things like that. We do a lot of rot repairs.
Rot repairs being number 2.
Yeah, being number 2, and then
so that means fixing like the deck has
dry rot on the deck. Dry rot on the deck, dry rot at the doors and windows, things like that.
That's number 2. Got it.
And probably number 3 might be assemble IKEA furniture.
I was asking only because,
but it's interesting because your pitch started with something plumbing, didn't it? What was your first toilet breaks or sink breaks or?
I had some various pictures. Okay. You're talking about the photos there?
I don't remember. I thought it started with when your sink breaks, people know what to do. Or okay.
Anyway, the reason I'm asking that is not because I want to know the answer. I want to know that he knows the answer, and I want to just hear him answer a question to see how credible he is, how much he knows his own business. So I just do this all the time. I'm just sort of like hitting the tennis ball back, and sometimes I put a little backspin on it. Sometimes I'll put it a little bit out of the reach of the founder, make them stretch a little bit, see if how they handle like an ace of a serve. That was just a little backhand there, like seeing if you could actually hit it. And I knew that IKEA would be somewhere in that top 3 because that's the most annoying thing any human could do on a weekend is put together IKEA, and we literally were just doing that. So,
but the other thing I just want to add is that your business is in a space where there have been a lot of venture-backed businesses that have died, and so the other question that I would ask is why have they died and you haven't?
I think that,
you won't. Yeah.
Well, I think that scale and quality exist in tension, and so I think that the focus on quality control. I mean, when their Yelp reviews are going down and down and down because they're hiring just anybody, and generally they're a marketplace, and so they don't have, especially with the Dynamix decision and all these different things happening, right? But
you're talking about TaskRabbit.
I'm talking about
Handy.
The other, but yeah, HomeJoy is an example. That's one that kind of had its whole trajectory, and I think that by employing the handyman ourselves, I can train the handyman. They show up wearing our logo apparel, and we have an accountability chain where they're actually accountable to a manager, a project manager, if there's ever an issue. So I think that to be honest, I think it's a completely different thing. It's a completely different approach.
So not a great answer, meandering answer, but you could refine that answer and make it super crisp. Jenny, it's a great question. We looked at those 3 businesses, and we studied their reviews on Yelp. And really, the inconsistency of the service led to people leaving 1- and 2-star reviews. That's our innovation. We train, and we only accept 1% of people who apply for the job. Yeah. We only accept the top ones. We pay for that service, and we made it sustainable. People don't want to leave the job, and so they're happy to come to work for us. We're, in a way, like Uber or Airbnb, but consistent for them, and we're professionalizing a career.
Yeah.
So anyway, you hear how I answered it?
And then
anyway,
the other lesson, though, is always have done your research on the history, right? So if other companies are like yours and they either did incredibly well or didn't do well or whatnot, there's when we have a founder pitch us and you say, well, what about like what happened with Happy Home or what happened with HomeJoy or whatever? And the person's like, oh, I don't know that one. Right there, you lose a point.
Yeah, credibility goes way down. And I think this is a situation where pulling analogies from other marketplaces or other service industries that have done really well,
will help you. I use marketplaces like Airbnb, but I'm sure there's a better descriptor here. And we don't have to win every handyman job. We just want to win the top third of them. We're really focused on those unit economics. It's a great question, Jenny. So see how I interact with her? Like, I'm recognizing what she's saying. I'm not on the defensive. I've now positioned myself from this to being next to her, right? And this is one of the things we work on in the accelerator is when you're dealing with these investors, just think about why they're asking the question in addition to what the question is. So, okay, let me just frame that for a second. They have a piece of data they want, or they want to hear your answer, but there's also a reason they asked that question as opposed to the other 100 questions they could ask. Really think about that. Like, why is Jenny asking this question? Why is this important to her?
The other thing I love is when someone's not trying to sell me, but they're an intellectual, you're selling by being intellectually curious. So Jenny, you asked that, have you seen examples where such and such, and they actually want the answer more than to get me to write a check? And guess what? It makes me want to write a check more. So there are some founders who get more defensive and just are going to sell and give you their, glossy points. And there's some who actually can have a really rich, meaningful conversation. And those are usually the ones people like we want to work with.
Yeah. So that
people like us,
that ability to volley the ball back and forth makes you fall into the bucket of founders investors want to work with. So if you were playing ping pong with somebody and like the ball happens to go way high in the air and they just like look at you and they're like, get ready, and they just like slam it like in your face, you're like, well, that was unnecessary. You could have scored the point in a little bit more delicate of a way or whatever. I think there's this, there's and I'm not saying you have to just be totally optimizing for appeasing the investor. It's more like being able to have a really constructive conversation where you're deeply listening to their question, right? And that's what a lot of founders, they get a little nervous and they're maybe taking it personal. And it's something the VC community should be aware of, because I think the fact that this word lifestyle business triggers founders so much that they hate VCs when they say it, there should be a better way to say it, which is, I'm not sure you want to share the economics with us. You may just want to take all the economics for yourself because you found a money printing machine. And it may not scale. And it's probably a better guarantee for you to make $25 million over the next 10 years from this business than to actually give us 20% of it. Like, there'd be a nicer way to say it, right? So I think there's like a little bit of how we talk to each other that could be a little bit better. Or people are just not tough anymore.
And on the flip side, you don't want to just be pleasing.
No.
Because if I say, why are you doing it that way? Why not do it like this? And you say, oh, that's a good way. We could do that. I'm thinking, oh, this person hasn't thought it through. Yeah. So you really are walking a line. And a lot of founders say to me, how do I walk that line? It's like, to Jason's point, you just listen. And you have an authentic, intellectually curious conversation, and that's how you increase your likelihood of getting an investor.
Yeah. The last conversation we just had with the founder of the do-gooder, like buy good products, I think was a good example of that, where we're just having like a really interesting interaction of like trying to understand you and your motivation, and has anything else worked in the space? And like, it's almost like we're all trying to navigate to the new world together, right? Like, that is when I think the checks get written. Okay, let's give him a big round of applause. Next up is Ozan. Ozan has $7 million in revenue. He'll be speaking to you today about how to bootstrap your way to $7 million. Why are you here? Everybody in the audience wants to punch you in the face right now. They're like, you burned a seat at Founder.University. You have more revenue than all 60 companies here.
I don't.
Does this company have any investment in it?
We got investment in 2014. Angel investment.
How much did you raise?
800,000. We joined the 500 startups accelerator then.
Oh, great. Here.
Yeah.
And then you raised 800.
Yeah.
You turned 800 into 7 million in revenue.
Yeah.
And profitability.
Yeah.
I think that deserves a round of applause.
Yeah. Thank you.
And one round of funding, 800,000, which means he's skipping his Series A. His seed plus
and
plus
kind
plus
of his
plus
Series B.
CA, and he's kind of going right to Series B. Maybe if he gets 50 million, you want to do 2 million on 50.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just a weird request. Like, any investor who's going to invest probably wants to own 20% of the business. So you might just want to raise 20 million at $100 million valuation
but
and go for that.
2 million seems enough for our plans to reach our next milestone of reaching 50 million revenue.
Yeah, so you want to own 4% of a business and go to the board meetings?
No. And someone's told me if something seems too good to be true, it usually is. And so you're almost too good to be true that I'm thinking, what am I missing? First of all, why not just find $2 million, not with a VC? To Jason's point, like keep the money for yourself. I mean, you turned 800K into that. So either it's this massive opportunity and you want to go really big, and $2 million isn't really big, or you just need a little bit more to keep the products kind of fresh and you're well on your way and you don't need to be here or pitching VCs.
Yeah, actually, when we do marketing in a new country, we grow virally there. So we have lots of good opportunities. So we want to double down on that effort. And we specifically want to join the US market, and the costs are very high compared to other countries in the Europe.
Okay.
So that's why we need to raise money.
Interesting. Yeah, too good to be true. Hey, Ashley?
I mean, that's
Where's
beautiful.
Ashley? Is she in the room? Oh, she's in the room. So, Damon, just the second he leaves, just like grab her and throw her in the room with that. There's Ashley. She runs the syndicate. And like, yeah, if you are truly this like magical unicorn.
I'm going to arm wrestle Ashley and not let her get to you.
You got like the follow-up meetings instantly. This reminds me of the company Dyn, D-Y-N. They were a DNS routing company. They emailed me like, hey, Jason, we're big fans of yours. We're running a startup out of New Hampshire. I was like, oh, God, here we go. And I was like, I'm not going to New Hampshire. I'm like, we have 15 million in revenue. We got 8 million in EBITDA, and we're going to raise our Series A. And now this is like 10 years ago. And I was like, I'm sorry. What you talking about, Willis? Like, this is like totally confounded by this concept. And I'm like, when can we have lunch? And they're like, well, we're in San Francisco on Monday. And this was like a Saturday. And I was like, great. Meet me at Fang. They were like, yeah, we're at the Moscone Center. I was like, great. Fang is across the street. Meet me there. I know the owner, so I could baller and walk in and get like, the VIP treatment. And I joined the board on the spot. I was like, let's meet on Monday. Like literally I closed that. And, I made hundreds of thousands of dollars just being on the board for 3 years, like in my equity that I got as a board person. It was like, these things do exist in the world. They're just not common. And com.com is a perfect example of it. We invested, was a $5 million company. And then they're like, oh yeah, we're doing a round. I'm like, oh really? I thought we were profitable. They're like, yeah, it's $250 million valuation. I was like, what? And they just skipped around. So I like these kind of businesses, and we're particularly suited for it. VCs don't want to own less than X percent, but I might be down for owning 10% or 5%. I might be down for giving you $500,000 or, in common to let you guys take a little money off the table or something. I'm kind of, my speciality is to help people like you. So Jenny already said no. So sure.
No, I said I'm going to arm wrestle Ashley to win the deal.
We might co-lead. We'll co-lead. How about that?
So the one question I have for you for real though is, the anonymous apps here in the US have gotten so big, crazy traction, and then blown up. Yeah. And so how are you navigating those waters?
We focus mostly on security and protecting the anonymity, and we also have good moderation systems. We also protect people by offering them some blocking features backed by some machine learning. So safety is a very important feature because we try to create a safe dating environment for women, actually.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I'm like writing my notes, and I'm like, God, this is connect the number 2.me, and I'm like, I got to help this kid with his branding. And then all of a sudden he's like, and I have 7 million revenue. I was just cross that out. Doesn't matter. Like if you actually might is right, like I know it's like not a popular thing to say, but like if you make the money and you're profitable, then you're right. Yeah. Like this is capitalism. Your name, like if we got like 100 pitches and it was like connect the number 2.me, I'd be like, really? But it's like, well, you made it work, so something's working here. And you have how many paying customers?
Right now, 10,000 per month.
I mean, oh, yummy. It's just so yummy. It's like 10,000 paying customers. And they pay through the App Store?
Yeah, Google and Apple App Store.
Yeah. Oh.
And the 50 million pre came from you or somebody else?
What was that?
The 50 million pre?
Your goal of 50 million.
It's our...
That's your goal?
Yeah.
So my recommendation is never to put the number in, because Jason may have been willing to give you 100 million pre.
Yeah, no, I'm...
Or someone like me sees 50 million pre and says, oh, he's beyond my stage. So I am not a believer in, in saying, you can say how much you're raising, but I would not put the terms because I think you have more to lose than gain.
Okay. Yeah, but on that note, I'll agree to the $50 million valuation pending due diligence. So
yeah, but he would have agreed to $75 million.
No, I don't know, actually. I think we have to drill into it. I mean, you're profitable with like a 30% margin or something. You make 30%.
Actually, it's 50%, but we are using our profits to advertisements.
Yeah.
To grow.
So I think it's, well, let's have lunch. Okay. Well done. Next up, Flexclub.
Thank you.
Wow. You know what's crazy about this one is like this cohort is so strong. I think each of these companies could have won #1 in the other cohorts.
I agree.
It's weird how that happened. Why don't you tell Flexclub what you think?
So I'm just going to start with saying that I thought that was an incredible pitch. I thought it was super crisp. It was a clear story. I wasn't confused. And the design, to Jason's point, when he said design so important, I'm thinking, is it? And then I realized it is because I'm just a consumer of it. So I take it for granted. And so it was really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
So do I understand your business right? It's almost like get around, but for gig workers. So rather than renting the car to go visit my parents in the burbs, I'm going to rent the car so that I can do my Uber driving.
Correct. Except you have to imagine if Get Around fully managed the car.
Got it. Yeah, I don't have other questions.
I love spinoffs. Better Call Saul, Mork and Mindy, Laverne and Shirley, whatever. Like, I'm trying to think of like other spinoffs, but there's something about people who were there for the magic. So people who were there for Uber, like they saw all these other satellite businesses that Uber just can't get to. And Uber is not allowed to kind of be giving the cars, or it triggers a bunch of stuff.
Correct.
I have some sort of inside information on this because early on, Travis and I talked about it at length. And I was like, well, why aren't they full-time, like the handyman thing? And he's like, oh, yeah, and he explained it to me. And I was like, okay, that's fine. It turns out most drivers have, I think, 50%, maybe back in the early days, they would change their hours on average 50% week over week. And I was like, how's that possible? You work 100 hours one week and then 50 the next, or 40 hours this week and 20 the next? I was like, yeah, it's lifestyle business. Like that's the whole point of the gig economy. And so they couldn't provide the cars. And so I really love this business. What I also loved about your pitch was you started to key off of this idea that there's a business in me buying 100 cars as a rich dude and then putting them in a pool for you to manage. Just like some rich dudes buy a bunch of apartments in Austin and then give them to home managers, to Airbnb.
Exactly.
And they kind of make an investment in that. And I was curious how describe to me somebody who does this with you. Like, is there an individual in your system who owns 10 cars and they buy used cars and they do this arbitrage? And how much do they make per car per year in profit?
We have quite a long tail. So we have individuals who have 1 car, and then we'll have individuals that have 30 cars.
Okay, tell me about that person, the 30-car individual.
So there could be an entrepreneur that's running a separate business, just has excess cash and realizes that they could...
No, but tell me about the specific one, because you must know them, because you talk to them on the phone.
Correct.
Without telling me their name, describe their business. How much money do they make per car per year?
So they're making, so I just have to do the currency conversion, but 4,000 Rand per month is what they'd make net of insurance maintenance. So 4,000 Rand is about $250 per month.
So they make $3,000 a car per year.
Correct.
And they have 30 cars they've purchased, so they're making $90,000 a year.
Correct.
Off of 30 cars, and the average price they paid for those cars?
About $8,000 to $9,000.
Got it. So they bought $270,000 in cars, and they make that back fully in 3 years.
Correct.
And they own the cars outright after 3 years, and the cars have some value.
Right. So we sell it for residual to the driver at the end.
Got it. Interesting. How much you sell to the driver for at the end?
20% residual is the target, but it can vary depending on the make and model.
Interesting. Okay, I think I got it. Very cool. Very interesting business. And you're doing this in emerging markets?
We're an emerging market player because that's where the banks are just too scared to touch this market.
Got it. Very interesting.
So we're an alternative to asset finance.
Yeah. Is it? Would a person describe it as predatory in any way, or have people described it as predatory?
No, so actually the way it works right now, the status quo is predatory. So we're already lower priced than, because individuals are already renting cars directly to Uber drivers in emerging markets. So because we aggregating all this volume, we get economies of scale, we can offer a lower price point to Uber drivers than what they pay today.
I got it. Interesting. Okay, well done. Let's give him a big round of applause. Okay, I am going to take Ozan and Connect It to Me out of the running for this round. Oh, I'm going to give him a bye. I know. You can't. It's like unfair to bring in like it's like bringing the Incredible Hulk into like a school playground, and it's like of course he's going to win. Yeah. Like Hulk win tag. So Ozan is getting a bye into the finals. He's already in there. So who would be your number one out of the other two?
I'm going to go with Flexclub. And it's not that I don't get Handyman Heroes. It just feels like it's more saturated market. It's a little bit, there's lots of handymen. There's just too many solutions, even though I like what you're selling. Where Flexclub, to me, the spin-off, the realizing there's this shifting economy, and then setting up something in that stack that is necessary just grabs me more as an investor.
Okay, I'm going to go with Handyman. I like Flexclub. I was associated with Uber. I think there's a business there, but I am going to be a contrarian about this. I don't think that this Handyman Heroes business would work, except that you're running it. There's something about you that when I look in your eyes, the neon sign of winner appeared above your head, and I have this superpower. When I look in people's eyes, I can tell if they're going to win in life. I know you're going to win because you boldly put your money on the line to fund your own business. You believe it's going to work, and I think that most people would fail at this business, and most people have, but I think you will succeed at it. So then all I need to understand is how big can it get, and how big is your ambition. So I'm going to pick you as my number one. And now we'll have a fun time. I would like the following people to come on up. Ozan from Connect It to Me, Handyman Heroes. Come on up. Filip from Hotailors, we both picked. Okay. Hotailors, come on up. Just stand in a row. I'm going to pick the winners here. Sitora, and I guess it was it Eric from the first cohort? Yeah. Who won? Who won the first cohort? Eric, yeah. Loomis, right?
Yep.
Okay, so here we go. Now, it's going to get really interesting. We're going to give you our 1, 2, and 3 of these 5 companies.
Oh, wait, I'm slower than Jason, so I need to write them all down.
Right.
What do we have up here? We have
Handyman Hero.
Handyman. Okay.
And then we have Connect It to Me. We have Hotelier was number 1 in that group, right? Mm-hmm. Is that right? You were, yeah. And then Oncata. And then we had Eric. So lest you think you get to just win, now we'll have 4 people lose again. So we keep everybody super honest about their thing. So we're going to pick our order here.
Should we go actually rate from 1 to 5?
Just 1, 2, 3. And this is in order of which you want to take a follow-up meeting explicitly for the purpose of investing. You can sing along. Da, 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 da. I need 1 more minute here. Da, 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 da.
This is something you do not want to do in a pitch meeting, okay? Don't hum.
Here we go. Okay. Give me your number 3.
See, he was looking at my sheet.
I was cheating a little bit.
My number 3 is, I can't pronounce it, which is a problem, but Hotelier, or however I say it.
I picked Eric's company doing the, what do you call it? The ticketing thing.
That you're going to rename.
It's not that I didn't think the other. I'm going to definitely follow up with all 5 here, but I just thought there was something about your early traction and your approach that I think is going to win big. Who's your number 2?
My number 2 is Oncata.
Same with me.
Okay.
For obvious reasons, we.
And then number 1 is Connect to Me.
And Connect to Me is number 1. So our 1 and 2 was the same, and number 3 was divergent. But really, all of you were really great, and I want to follow with all of you. All of you are in the zone for the accelerator. Let's give a big round of applause to Jenny and our contestants.